Oh, fun, fun, fun. Those are the Gardner brothers, born in the U.S. to Irish parents from Galway, dancing to Jose Feliciano's Feliz Navidad video. I thought that'd be kind of fun to start the day off. Look who's here, my best friend ever, Lewis Herms. Lewis, how are you, my friend?
You can tell Robert's running the show today with that video.
It's not the one you would have chosen, I know, but it's okay. It's fun.
That was good. That was good.
Oh, boy. What a week it has been. People are asking, where's Bruce? Bruce is on assignment. He's got another project going on today. He couldn't make it, but we expect to see him again, maybe next week. We'll see how his schedule plays out. But we're glad to have all of you here. We did not want to end the week. Lewis and I said, no, we don't want to end the week without a show because we debated whether or not we should do a show on Friday. Here we are. We're here because of you. We love hanging out with you guys, and so much fun to do the Friday show. The Friday show is always kind of fun, a nice wrap-up. So, Lewis, we're going to get started with Tara Bull, this lady on Twitter. She does this top 10 headlines that we missed during the week, and it's always kind of fun to kind of look back a little bit and comment on some of these things. And we have a lot of commentary on this. This may take a little while. Oh, number 10 is Governor Greg Abbott signs a bill making it a state crime to enter Texas illegally. We talked about this ad nauseum yesterday. Nope, not what it is.
No, it's well, first, it's just another Abbott being backed into the corner by we the people, guys. This is the theme you're going to have to remember. If it wasn't for we the people, he wouldn't be doing it. The problem is, it's a fakery. It's a fade. It's watch the left hand when the right hand is working. And why would I say that about the wonderful, lovely Greg Abbott? Because this so-called law that gets the police and the sheriff involved to deport illegals when they come across the border doesn't take effect until March 2024.
March 5th, 2024, to be exact. So, yeah, it's
right.
not right away.
So what it's again a dog whistle saying, everybody, you have 2 months, 2.5 months to come over as much as you possibly can. Our borders are open. Let's go. It's the same game, different day.
Are you willing to work on Christmas Day, Lewis?
Am I willing to work on Christmas Day?
Yeah, because apparently we're going to have an avalanche or a tsunami of people coming up across the border on Christmas Day when nobody's paying attention.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. So, well, they're already it doesn't even really matter at this point because they come through the border, they camp out, not on the Mexican side of the border, guys. They camp out on the American side of the border, and they just wait. They're very open to what they're doing. What are you doing here? Oh, we're waiting for a border patrol to pick us up.
Wow.
Oh, how long have you been waiting? 3 days. Oh, great. What happens from now? Oh, we go to the processing center. Oh, okay. Then what happens? Well, we get food, we get drinks, we get clothes, and then they'll ship us off to another city via bus. Oh, got it. Okay, cool.
There was a story yesterday. They were also being told where they're going. So they're given an address, a state, and an address where they're going. They have no idea where it is. Where are you going? Philadelphia. Where? This address. They have no idea. And their community centers and processing centers and reception centers in all of these cities, you think it's just a border problem. It's not. It's coming in every city at this point.
Everyone. Yeah. And here's what's weird about it too. And this is what we have to think. So the Biden administration and the Democrats about a year and a half ago, were screaming, these evil governors are sending people to our cities, our democratic cities. Remember that?
Right.
Well, so what happens is now what's happening? They're coming right out of border processing, and they're being designated to go to a city. So are your doors open? Are they closed? I mean, there's a lot of, and I can tell you, I think it's sad, but I've interviewed a few Border Patrol agents. They all have a separate story, which means we're not being told the truth. When we interviewed the illegals coming across, they all try to have the same story, which means they're being scripted. But if you ask them enough questions, somebody breaks or somebody says something completely different.
Right.
So we're not even quite sure what's going on. So we have to look at what we know. What do we know? 90% are fighting age males. That's really what the story is. And then I'm sure we're going to get into the vote and the police and so on and so forth for illegals coming up here. Okay, so I was just reviewing my Twitter feed, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is right around J6. It may have been right before. It could have been December of 20. And I specifically said on there, and we've said on the show for many, many times, it's going to go. The three to pay attention to are Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania.
Right.
Because we knew that the evidence was so deep and so dark in those three places that somehow it would have to come out. And then as of lately, we've been saying right here on this channel, watch for Georgia, watch for Georgia. So yeah, I do think Georgia is going to be a big deal. And then I think Pennsylvania is going to pop, Arizona. So I do predictions sometimes just so we have an awareness, but I don't do dates. Let's be clear about that. I see Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania really being exposed. And those are three hotbeds in the United States. It's not an accident that they're in three completely different places, right?
Right.
The reason why you're not going to see Oregon and Washington and California exposed, because we already know everybody knows they're deep state, right? Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, not everybody knows that. They're learning that. So those three, I believe, are going to be exposed. That's going to be the shocker that's going to help flip things around. One of the reasons why I don't think, whether it's the Democrats or somebody else, maybe the military, still. And I'm one of the only people that keep saying that, because I get it. The closer it comes to 24 election, then everybody's going to drop off with their predictions. I still don't feel it happening. That being said, though, we're going to pay attention to that. And then I believe it's Israel. And then I believe all roads lead back to Switzerland. So it's going to be very interesting. I think all of that is going to crack next year. The momentum just seems to be overwhelming. I don't see how the deep state can hold it together anymore. And I don't see how the white hats can hold us back anymore. So those two things coming together that stuff is going to hit the fan in 2024.
You and I can feel it, because we're seeing everything popping and everything that's coming up, everything that's being disclosed and shown to us now. I can't even keep up with it. There's so much of it coming out. It's like, you're right. So how do they, keep their fingers in the dam at this point? They're not. There's way too many cracks in it, and you can't stop it because they lost Twitter. They lost control of Twitter to block all this stuff and keep it from all of us. Now we're all seeing it, and a lot of people are waking up as they're seeing, just open your eyes. Just look at what's going on in your neighborhoods, and you get an idea of what's really happening. So in the traditional sense that we're used to, I think things are going to fall apart way before that. I think by the time we get to March, we may be looking at a completely different landscape.
Yep. I think it's going to be fun to watch and scary at the same time. So,
well, anytime there's change, right? People get panicked because change means you're uncomfortable, and people stay in bad relationships, they stay in bad jobs, and they stay in bad housing, right? Because they're comfortable. Because they don't want the change, even though the change would mean something better, they get into that fear space. So we're going to have to learn to embrace change. Change is a constant in our lives, and it's going to be coming at us, I think, a lot faster. I was chatting with a friend of mine late last night, and she was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, my kids. And I said, really at this point, they're not paying attention. There will be a moment where they will be waking up out of their sleep, and it's going to be a stark awakening for them. And we need to be the ones who are going to be there to make sure that we walk them to, right through this thing, because they're going to be in such a state of shock, they won't be able to perform. So it's our job now, because we've done it. We've been through the fire. We got to the other side. We know what it looks like, and they're just coming to it. So now we'll be able to help them get through it. So she thought, well, that was really good, good advice for her, because she didn't know how to handle it. I said, you can't do anything until they wake up. But when they do, you'll have that foot in. It's coming.
Yep,
I believe it's coming.
It is, and we just have to be there for those people.
Yep.
Although I'd like to slap the mask off their face, but we still have to be there for them.
Okay, after you slap the mask off the face, then you offer to help them, right?
Well, that's part of the awakening.
Number 8, Senate staffer fired after film. Apparently, we're not the only one getting effed by the government.
Oh my God.
What more can you add to that? I mean, really,
So they have the person that filmed it.
Mm-hmm.
Did they catch the pitcher or the catcher? Who did they catch?
One of them was actually the staffer. And now there's another video apparently that I got wind of yesterday. There's another video that they're looking for now. It's like, what is this? Our White House is where you film your porn films? Is that what's going on now? It's crazy.
Amazing. Just amazing.
Well, dignity is back on the ballot according to Jill Biden. So there we go. We have everything we need. It's like, can you believe our country's gone this far? I mean, I really, at this point, Louis, I think it's so far beyond the pale, so far beyond anything you and I would ever imagine in our wildest dreams. We couldn't write the script for this, even if we were writing science fiction. It's so far out there. If people aren't paying attention.
I don't even know what to say anymore because it's so crazy. It definitely seems like the white hats are writing the script. Either that or the crazies are just getting crazier because they're backed up so far in the corner. Plus, but let's just think of this: when you support the things that the Democratic Party has supported for the last 20 years, openly, right? And they believe in debauchery, they believe in all this stuff, right? Openly praising some people that create heinous acts and demonize Christians and conservatives and so on and so forth. It was bound to lead in this direction anyways, because they're literally attracting these demonic behaviors. I think that's probably the best way I could put it. And therefore, what would they expect? Of course, they're gonna behave like this.
And they're really not getting much in the way of pushback from society as a whole, because we're being told to accept it, and it's the new thing, and you need to accept it and accept it. So, yeah, we're talking about it, but they're not feeling that, I don't think, at this point. That's why they're more and more brazen, and they're coming out in the open with it more than they ever have.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Crazy is the word. I keep using that word. I want to find a new word. We got to stop using the word crazy.
It pretty much applies.
It does. Number 7, dismantling a Confederate memorial in Arlington Cemetery was halted by a Trump-appointed federal judge. Then he had a look and he said, "Nah, go ahead, take it down." So it's gone.
I don't know what to say about that.
Well, what's erasing our history is what it is, right? That's the whole point. That's
the idea. So history's not always good. That's what we have to know. History's not good. It always has an element of something that was jacked up in regards to it, but hiding it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, right?
Well, hide it so you can rewrite it is the goal.
Well, they always hide it so they can rewrite it.
Right.
That's what the deep state does.
Yep.
And what they really want is they want no monuments to the past. But you'll see monuments, which we do see. You'll see Luciferian monuments. You'll see monuments of gods. You'll see monuments of their god, Obama. You'll see monuments of Clinton without Monica on her knees. You'll see
you had to add that in. I love it.
Yeah. That's the type of things they're gonna replace it with.
Yeah.
They might as well just put a swastika on everybody's head and put Manson up there too, because that's the direction that they're going.
Well, the other thing that comes to mind for me more than anything too is who really writes history. It's all the left leading professors, right, that tend to write the history books. So, is our history really accurate in the way that we've learned it? Probably not. Probably very inaccurate. I mean, if you look at just the events that are happening today, how are they going to be remembered? Or, because you could look at the New York Times and say, okay, that was real. Or you could look at Wall Street Journal, which was on our side, not so much anymore. Same story, two very different perspectives on it. Which one's real? If you're a
Yeah.
historian looking back and, you pull out the microfiche, they still do that. And, they look for those stories. How are they going to write about it?
Yeah, the history is completely rewritten in all aspects. It's so funny you say that. I used to research, believe it or not, at 12 years old, microfiche.
Oh,
I
wow.
would go into there was a college library that a university in the San Fernando Valley called CSUN, Cal State University Northridge, and they would specialize in documenting all old newspapers from the past. So anytime I wanted to find out real history at 12 years old, I ignored, isn't it weird? Even at 12 years old, I ignored all the books that the teachers had, and I'd run over to the library and I would research the dates, and you could see actual writing like the day after an event happened, and you really know from their perspective what was really going on.
Yeah,
It's
not
fascinating.
that's amazing. Of course, we're showing our age when we're talking about microfiche because I don't think they use that anymore. The technology has been around. But yeah, that was amazing at that age to be able to be lied to.
Yeah,
You
well,
know?
it was kind of lucky. So what happened is, um, I grew up really poor. I know white people aren't allowed to say that, but I grew up very impoverished, latchkey kid, HUD housing, but my mom would always come up with great ideas to do Christmas presents for the rest of the family
Hmm.
that didn't cost too much. So what she had me do at first is research everybody's birthday, and then we printed it out and put it in a nice little frame. And even though it was very inexpensive, it was that gift was for years we would hear about how special that gift was to them. But that at the time I'm like, wow, this is cool. So then I started researching other subjects too.
Wow. It's amazing when you're not distracted. Like I was talking to one of the employees here at the farm, and he was telling me about his kid and how he can't motivate him. He doesn't want to do anything. And I said, how many hours a day does he spend on his, devices? And he's like, all of them. He's got it on him when he's at school and when he comes home, when he's on the bus, and it's like he has no friends. His world is inside that screen is what it is, and they're just not learning. And it's almost a blessing in a way to say, hey, Lewis, you didn't have all those things when you grew up, and that caused you to, go and really look for that information. Same for me. I was in the same boat. And I was, just like you, got to learn. I taught myself how to be a photographer, and I became the yearbook photographer in high school, my last year of high school, without ever having taken a class on it. So totally self-taught. Developing film and doing enlargements, and actually took it to the next step and developed color film. It blew the teachers away. You developed color film in our black and white lab? Yeah, I did. But it was just because I was always hungry for that knowledge. I always wanted to know more. Still that way today. It hasn't changed. So,
Yeah,
yep.
that's beautiful.
So yeah, it's good in a way not to have all the bells and whistles sometimes, because it does cause you to think outside the box and find other ways of doing things. Number 6, we're going to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy. He's going to withdraw from the Colorado GOP primary until Trump is allowed to be on the ballot. I don't know. When we start digging into how this thing is, he's swishing now. When you start looking at the way that ruling came down in Colorado, you realize they really weren't confident that it was going to stick. And the way they have it set up is, well, we've ruled, but we're going to stay the order until January 4th, unless there's a Supreme Court decision. That's going to happen. And, the 5th of January is when the ballots go to printing. They need to be signed off on.
Right.
What name's going to be on that ballot. So they can't hold that up.
Well,
It seems like a moot point.
I wanted to talk about this. I'm glad you brought it up, because yesterday what we did is we read the actual order, right?
Right.
And I think the way it's written, because it's typical BS legalese and all jumbo, was very confusing for people to understand. So if we can break it down for you, what happened is I four judges made their own decision without any evidence whatsoever, or without even a trial, that President Trump is an insurrectionist. Therefore, that was their excuse to.
Well, the
put this
evidence they
order.
had was which we know is fraudulent.
Right.
That's
Well,
the
they
only
had
thing
no
they based it on.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So they had nothing whatsoever. That was their excuse,
Yeah.
not evidence. So what happened is they actually made an order that Trump will be eliminated from the ballot. But all it was a media play. That's all it is. Because within that order, they stayed their own order. And what that means, folks, is they said, here's the order, but just ignore it. Don't do anything about it whatsoever, which means it's literally a publicity stunt.
Yep.
And then they said, if for some reason the Supreme Court takes this up in any form, by the way, before was it January 4th?
January 4th, right?
Yeah. Says if the Supreme Court takes it up in any form, then we're not going to do anything whatsoever, and we'll go by whatever the determination is. It's total BS. It doesn't. So it's purely a publicity stunt to get other states, I believe another dog whistle, to get other states to do the same thing. So everybody's going to talk about Trump being removed from the ballot over the Christmas holidays and New Year's holidays, and let's all talk about that. Trump got removed from there. I'm surprised California hasn't finished doing it yet, and all these other states, because all it is a publicity stunt that they want people to talk with and about over the holiday season. And that if that's not insurrection within itself, and they're being traitors to the country and the way things work, and what are they doing most? What are they doing most?
Yep.
Themselves, which is a traitorous act. So the interesting to see how I honestly don't think the Trump team is strong enough on this. I think he's strong enough on this. I think his team lets him down because he's strong on the messaging, and then his team just kind of waffles away by the side, except for his attorney, Elena Haba. She's pretty damn good.
Yeah, she's a New Yorker, so yeah, she's tough as nails. So what was the main story in the news the day before the Colorado ruling came down?
Oh, probably something about Hunter Biden, I'm guessing.
The border.
Or Joe Biden.
The swarm at the border that started Sunday night. It started to pop.
Right.
And Monday it was all about the border and the avalanche of people coming across Eagle Pass, Texas, and then Lukeville, Arizona, both those places. And it was everywhere in the media. All the media was covering it. So they needed something to change the narrative. And that came out. That ruling came out Tuesday around 5 o'clock. We were just getting done with our show when that ruling came out. And all of a sudden the narrative switched. Next day, there was nothing about the border in the news.
Interesting enough, with all 4 or 5 or 1,500 of his indictments and his so-called what's it called when the president is I don't know, removed, what they're going after Joe Biden for right now?
Impeachment.
Yeah. And his 2 impeachments. So his 4 indictments and his 2 impeachments. All came out with a day or two after there was big breaking news against the deep state.
Yep.
Every single one of them.
Not
one of them, every single one. So this is exactly
it's tit for tat, right? Yeah.
It's a cover up. It's a big, massive cover up.
It clearly, and it works. The sad thing is that it works. I was looking because I was like, I'm not playing this game. I don't care about this. I want to find out what's going on at the border. Nothing. Not even in Twitter there was any more about the border. I'm like, that swarm of people coming across in Eagle Pass, Texas didn't just stop overnight. It's still going on, right? Ben Berquam was in Dallas-Fort Worth at the airport, and he was showing every single flight filled with migrants. Every single flight. They still had the tags from Border Patrol on their backpacks, and so it was crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
And on their brand new backpacks and their brand new clothes and their brand new tennis sneakers and their showered self and their full bellies. Now, that being said, though, I really think the people are making some really great progress because all of the main narratives that have been coming out have been crushed inside the alternative media immediately,
right,
on Twitter and everything else. What we haven't done a great job yet, and I believe this is probably the next step, is doing what you're saying, is flipping the narrative when they put some fake news in front of us, we do still take the hook on that and run with that, and we dispute that directly, which is what they want. So, for example, let's say there's some bad news that comes out against the deep state. Next thing you know, they found rabbits that were being hatched out of a pumpkin, right? And it was all Trump's fault because he's the one that did the testing in the first place. That's what they put out, and then we spend all our time, instead of talking about the deep state reveal, we talk about how it's false about the rabbits being hatched out of pumpkins.
Right.
Right. And that's where we're going to have to get better, is we cannot take the hook. They're throwing the bait out and we're grabbing the bait and running with it. And that's where we, the people, have to get a lot better at.
Well, that's where this lawfare stuff is too. It's like, oh, we're going to charge Trump with this. We're going to charge Trump with that, knowing full well, they know full well this won't go anywhere. None of these charges can stick. But the fact that they did the charge, they indicted, it's all over the media. They dominate the media cycle with anti-Trump propaganda, which is really what they want. They have already won in their mind just by getting to that step, regardless of what happens. You can see all the cases now are falling apart, right? So, but they won anyway because they dominated the media cycle when they needed it.
Agreed. Yeah. That's what they want.
Yep. Hey, all right, Vivek, good job. The state of Tennessee is suing BlackRock, the world's largest financial asset manager, for misleading investors about their money being used to fund ESG policies. Environment, societal, and governance policies, right? ESG?
Yeah, it's always governance, by the way.
Yep.
You're going to see that word a lot.
Governance, right.
BlackRock. This is a beautiful thing, because ultimately we're looking for any reason to publicly disclose who and what BlackRock really is. So maybe this will come into some reveals with inside this case. That would be phenomenal. And they will be
Discovery.
Yep. Discovery is my favorite.
Yep.
We talk about it a lot here.
Yep.
And this will be public record. So ultimately, I think this is a great thing.
Well, you said it right. You said, we got to get stuff on the record. It's got to be in the record, in the public record. And when it's in there, they can't flush the public record down the drain. It's harder to do that than if it's just, hearsay.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
This will be interesting to see where this goes. The state of Tennessee, good state, I guess. They're stepping up. Here you are, number 4. California Lieutenant Governor demands Secretary of State remove former President Donald Trump from the 2024 ballot. The last U.S. president to remove from the ballot was Abraham Lincoln. Go California! Always leading the way, huh?
All right. So we talk about this a lot, and this is what I'm hoping people are starting to realize. Everything needs precedence because you're dealing with cowards. Okay,
right.
Good and bad. Okay, I'm saying good and bad. So, Colorado set the precedence. Now California jumps onto it. California could have done it immediately. They could have done it way before Colorado did, but they wanted to wait for precedence. Now there's precedence. And it's newsworthy in their mind. So this is a diversion. So we all talk about this again through the holidays. Now, unfortunately, the good guys need precedence also. And this is what we have teams working on in the background. And I don't say their names specifically, but I can tell you we have a lot of people working on in the background on getting court cases up to very high levels. And all we need is one ruling in our favor. And that sets precedence, and you're going to see the domino effect go across the nation. So, everybody take a deep breath during the holidays and so on and so forth. Know that there's a bunch of teams and a bunch of good people working in the backgrounds to do exactly opposite from what the deep state is doing right now, and they are getting some traction. They are getting some real traction.
Good, glad to hear that. So important. That was there are 16 states actually on a list now of who are planning to try and remove Trump from the ballot. They're just waiting for the first domino to fall. Shoot that shot over the bow. Like we said, we don't think it's going to go anywhere. And these other ones will try, but it won't go anywhere either. It actually, in the Constitution, from people who have been reading into that particular part, Article 3 of was it the 14th Amendment, they were saying that it doesn't mention the president, members of Senate, members of Congress, and other people. It does not mention the president in there. So what they're trying to go after him for doesn't even apply if you're the president.
Yep.
So the whole thing can be thrown out pretty quickly.
And I think it will be. I think you guys are going to see some wins at a very high court levels very soon, and it's going to be exciting. 2024 is going to be a good year, but remember, the more the good guys win, the more we have a catalyst for bad stuff, because that's the way the deep state reacts to this stuff. So just be on your toes. Remember the 2A, ammo up, water, food, be smart, and make sure you have an alternate way to communicate with people in your neighborhood.
Yep.
Very, very important.
Yeah, get to know your neighbors. I think that was the best advice I'd heard too, is get to know everyone around you, because you're going to need each other in times of crisis. And we may be going through that. We're hoping not, but we may be going through a bumpy period coming up.
Yep.
Because the deep state's not going to go away quietly, right?
No, they can't.
Yeah.
This is the end of them. See, the thing about this is every battle that we lose is not really that closer to the end, because we're winning battles.
Right.
Every battle that the deep state loses is. And here's what the key difference is. And this is why I want somebody to take away something positive from what's going on. Every battle that we win, we the people, is a disclosure that the deep state can't take away. So it's a chip in there's a chip in the armor. That armor does not get repaired. With us, if we the people lose a battle, we can re-heal ourselves and keep moving forward, because we're on the right side. We're on God's side of this war. So the deep state has a very keen understanding that every time they lose, it's a chink in their armor.
Right.
And because we don't go back, we're not going to forget what they've done. So every win is really a big win, not just a small win, because we're that much closer to the finale. So hang in there, guys. We got this.
We got this. We do have this. Hey, a second Democratic candidate.
Fraudulent, and we have to understand that. And we can't be counting on that election to go the way we want it to.
So here's a different idea for you. Let's see what you think about this. They do everything they can to get Biden as the nominee. He bows out. You know what happens next? The DNC appoints the candidate. They don't have to run. They don't have to do a primary, anything. They just appoint the candidate. So they make Biden win, the incumbent. Believable, quasi-believable. Some people would believe it. And then he steps down. He's sick. He got a heart attack. He cracked his head open, whatever. And then they decide, hey, it's Newsom or it's whoever.
It'll be Newsom probably.
Yeah.
We did a whole story here exactly on that.
Yep.
And guys, Gavin Newsom is acting like a president. Gavin Newsom was the first one to see dictator Xi from China. Gavin Newsom has traveled all over the world and visited with all the world leaders. Gavin Newsom had a quasi-presidential debate with DeSantis. So they're teeing it up.
He's being groomed, yeah, no question.
Yeah, and there is a law, I think or not a law, a rule with inside the DNC, I believe it was 2022 when they enacted that rule that says they could do exactly what Robert Imbrielli is telling you right now. Yeah. They can pull Biden right out, boop, and put in whoever they want. I believe it's a vote of maximum 12 people with inside the RNC. It has nothing to do with we the people, have nothing to do with caucuses, has nothing to do with your state.
Yep.
Sketchy.
So the whole primary thing really out the window. And does it really matter if Trump's not on the ballot anyway? Because who's gonna come up near him? Everyone will write him in anyway, or they'll caucus, or you know what I mean. So it's a lot of games.
It's really easy to spell TRUMP.
Yeah, I think we'd do that. Even the low information voter can spell that without a problem. Right?
Well, that actually may work to the advantage to the voter fraud, because you can't run a ballot. That ballot will be adjudicated, and we know in Arizona especially an adjudicated ballot is where they stole it from. But An adjudicated ballot with a spelling on it can't just be thrown over there. They would either have to delete that ballot, get rid of it, right? But that's the challenge, is after it's adjudicated, they can't just make that ballot disappear. So maybe that works into our advantage also. Yeah. Maybe they should take them off of every single state, right? And the write-in vote alone that would be adjudicated when it goes through a machine, and they would physically have to be throwing those in the trash or burning them, which we would probably have some evidence of.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is getting spicy. Maybe there will be an election. Okay.
Spicy it is. New Supreme Court rule filing claims Jack Smith was never properly appointed as special counsel, declaring all of his legal acts null and void. What? What?
Oh, God.
I mean, that would be the end of the January 6th case, the classified documents case, and he would go to jail?
Yeah, it's time for Jack Smith to say, "Scotty, beam me up."
Yeah. Whoa.
It's getting funny. It's getting funny.
So this is a Supreme Court filing. It's not a ruling, which is different. The filing is just, hey, we're claiming that this is what's going on. The Supreme Court still would have to rule on it. There'd have to be a hearing, yada, yada, yada. It's getting interesting. Spicy, as you say.
Yep, it is. It is. So Q Crew just said they won't accept write-ins. They're saying it will be illegal to write in. Yeah, but that hasn't been approved, and that would be I don't think that would go through the Supreme Court either. So I'm not too concerned about that. And when they say it, they talk a lot of crap. They also say that Michelle Obama is a woman.
Yeah.
Not too worried about that one either.
No. Number one, a federal judge ordered more than 150 names linked to Jeffrey Epstein to be unsealed. 3 of the names will remain sealed. Who do you think they are? I don't really care. I want the 150.
Well, I think they already figured out who the 3 names are. One of them was a misidentified photograph, right? So that one's not going to be released. And the other 2 are like people that work with people. So they were too far away from it to matter.
Right.
So 13 people put in their names and said, I don't want to be connected to this. And ultimately, only 3 of them won, and those were legit. So I'm very curious about this because it looks like they're handling this properly. So to see those 47 names now be put out there would be it's going to be interesting to say the least. Now the question is, then the diggers have to figure out what's the true connection, because President Trump could be connected to Jeffrey Epstein, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he did anything. Mm-hmm. So we have to really be aware and open to that type of conversation too. We can't just judge immediately, because if we do, I guarantee you the liberals would be doing the same thing with Trump's connection to Epstein.
Yep. No question. I want to remind everyone to go over to screwbiggov.com. If you haven't been over there in a couple of days, go have a look. Rememberyouroath.com is there. You'll find a link to that. Freedom in Action, where lots of goodies to answer the question, what the heck can I do in my community? Also, the Cages documentary is there. Lewis's social media links, and a button there for swag. We're going to talk a little bit about swag in a little bit, too. Good stuff. Look at that jacket that Lewis is wearing. Look at that. Logo is beautiful.
I am very proud of this jacket. It's a beautiful, deep, dark black jacket, which is quality. The inside is very soft and furry, not Furby, and a nice collar, weatherproof, and that is an embroidered logo. It's beautiful, and that is on there if you want to get the swag. And the reason why I'm wearing it, because in Southern California, it is a little bit cold today. It is very cold, and I don't want to count on my heater all the time. Plus, I'm lazy as heck. You can't even tell my hair's dark because I have got my hat on, but you can see the Neumi effect right there. My wife hates when I wear a hat, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to tell on her. She says it makes you look old. Because it doesn't show the darkness of my hair. Uh-huh. It only shows the light part down.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
down here.
Only the ladies are paying attention to that, Lewis, and the guys are not.
I clearly don't. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I don't pay attention. I shower once every 6 months. I don't wear deodorant, don't shave. My teeth, I only brush them just because sometimes all the food hanging in there over 3 months gets in the way of other things I eat.
Yeah. All right. So this is interesting. Pro Ron DeSantis PAC Never Back Down is the name of the PAC, cancels all 2024 reservations in New Hampshire and Iowa. Reports indicate they have canceled over $2.5 million in spending. More cancellations are expected. Just 2 weeks ago, the Super PAC parted ways with its interim CEO and 2 other top officials. Is he circling the drain, Lewis? What do you think?
I think so, but he should be, because look at his picture real quick.
Let's put his picture back in here.
He's
That
circling
face.
the drain because clearly he looks constipated.
Yeah, he does.
So maybe circling the drain is premature for him.
Oh boy, everyone that I talk to in Florida, one of the things people say, "Oh, Rob, you got to move to Florida. You got to get out of California. You got to move to Florida. You got to move to Florida." And I asked them a question. I said, "Okay, DeSantis is on his second term, ostensibly 2-3 years left on his term. After he's gone, what happens to Florida?" We didn't have to wait too long because then he jumped on this presidential campaign and abandoned Florida. He hadn't done anything in a year and a half. And Floridians are pissed. So all the political capital he amassed in Florida by doing all the good things that he did in Florida, gone. His support is eroded.
In 21, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And that's when his support really started you started to see who the real Ron DeSantis was at that moment. And then, he continued down that road, and then he completely ignored Florida. He pretty much said, "I don't give a damn about Florida. I'm just running for president." And then he started wearing his high heels all over the place. So, all those things together is, see ya, DeSantis.
He literally used Florida as a stepping stool. That's really all he did.
Yep, I agree. Totally.
He just stepped all over it and got what he needed to get from it, and now he's abandoned it. And it's like, they should recall him. They really should at this point.
I was in Florida probably about 2 years ago, and I wasn't a fan of DeSantis back then. And I said a couple things, and people were a little bit taken aback.
Yeah, I know. They were. I remember that.
Yep. But now they're like, "Oh yeah, I guess you're right. He is a douchebag."
I had to see it, right? I want to see it. Well, now you see it. Now what are you going to do about it? That's the question. That's the next question on the ballot. What are you going to do about it?
Right.
All right. So we have something from DC Drano. DC Drano is a lawyer. He's a very popular, well-followed guy on Twitter. And he was talking today about, you remember the video of, this was on January 6th, the video that Trump posted on Twitter, and Twitter promptly removed it, right? It was up for minutes on January 6th before Twitter said, "Oh, no, you can't have that video up there." And they removed it. They knocked it off. And so he's got an interesting take on it. He says, when Twitter deleted Trump's public request for people to go home on January 6th, only 5 minutes after he posted it, it seemed very strange. Wouldn't they want peace? Were they trying to frame him for their narrative? But what if there was something else at play? And I'm going to show you this, not a video. I'm going to show you this here real quick. This is from Newsweek. And let's see if you can see the most important parts here. Before a president could use any of the powers provided him under the Insurrection Act, he would have to first issue a formal proclamation ordering insurgents to disperse. That's what this video was, essentially, wasn't it? According to a Congressional Research Service research paper from 2006, the president must command insurgents to disperse within a set time frame. If that order is not complied with, the president then has the power to deploy troops or resolve the issue through an executive order. So DC Drano is going on here, and he's talking about that, and he says, this is kind of interesting. What if they were trying to limit his ability to activate the Insurrection Act? The first prerequisite for invoking the Insurrection Act is to call for disorderly citizens to go home, which is what that video did. And what did he say in the video? He called for people to go home. Was Twitter trying to thwart Trump's attempt to comply with these requirements? If so, who was orchestrating it? It's an interesting perspective, given all that we saw. And we kept hearing that Trump did sign the Insurrection Act, and apparently he did not.
Right. So just to correct the record for DC Drano, I think it was up a little bit more than 5 minutes, because that's the video that I played 2 times with Jake Chansley, the Viking, to do exactly what Trump's wanted, to get people dispersed, which 100%, no doubt, saved a huge issue, because right after people dispersed, you had, dozens of fully armed semi-automatic troops coming up the steps right where those people were, and that was going to be a problem. But by the time that happened, most people were already down off the steps and completely dispersed. I talked to Jake actually about this. What was it about? Not a week, about 4 or 5 days ago, and I flat out told him. I said, I tried to get this to your attorney, and he's didn't have nice words about his attorney. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Because they're all deep state actors,
Yep.
even the defense attorneys in DC. So that could have been Trump's intention. I don't know if the deep state's that sophisticated. I look at it this way: the deep state needed bad things to happen. So the last thing they wanted is Trump on the record saying, "Guys, we don't want bad things to happen." Right? So it could have been as simple as that. But it may be as deep. Logistically, DC Drano is right on target. Logistically, these are certain things that have to happen. Here's what I guess my frustration is. I had this conversation on January 7th, the day after January 6th. But now he goes viral for having the exact same conversation 3 years later. It's
Frustrating.
this is what. Yeah, because we're trying to get the information out, and we were saying the exact same thing. This is a precursor to the Insurrection Act. La 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 la. Here's what we played, and everybody just blew it off like, we don't know what we're talking about, right? That was 3 years ago. That's how far ahead of this narrative we were. And this is what kind of makes me think that the so-called, I'm going to start quoting so-called good guys, are controlling more of the narrative than we think.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else to say about that.
It does make you wonder.
We work our asses off,
Yeah.
and we see several channels right now, 3 days later, just repeating what we do. It's like, God, are they even doing the work themselves anymore? Right? I don't even know. But we laid it out on January 7th. The only reason why it wasn't laid out on January 6th because we couldn't get signal out. And now, in defense to anybody that's running with the message now, they did take down every channel that I had right after that. But it got enough traction where a lot of people were sending it out all over the place. I'm surprised it didn't get more talk. Or maybe people just at the time just weren't aware or didn't believe it. Who knows?
Hey, I think that's more likely because a lot of people, it took them a while to really catch on to what was going on there. You got to understand too. DC Drano's got a big following, so right now we're building that following. We don't have it quite as large as he does, but when we do and we bring stuff out right away, we're going to get that viral effect as well. Then certainly, all those people watching, all you guys who are watching today, thank you for, sharing, because you share the videos out. We see them on Facebook. We see them on other platforms. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for letting your friends know about this show as well. It helps us out tremendously. So that's how it builds. It's a little bit at a time, and you just got to be patient in that. But, we'd like to bring you the stories that are really behind the stories, because that's really what we're looking at here. So it's interesting. Yeah. And just look at the rest of his quote here. If there's anything more, there's really nothing more. So.
And I know Jake today put out a video on Twitter, which is the pre-video before I stepped in with him to show Trump's video. So we'll see what happens with that. But his isn't even getting that much traction either. It's like if you're not tasked with the message and you're not an insider, you just don't get the traction.
The other thing too is fatigue. These stories get tiring after a while, right? Because we've had the receipts. We keep talking about it. 3 years on, we're still talking about it. We're not making any progress. So after a while, you go, we need to set it aside maybe and try a different approach because this isn't working. And I think people are just getting tired of it. January 6th, we know what it was. We got it. We understand it. Nothing's happened. Let's move on. What do you think?
Well, except for the fact that the named accounts seem to they go viral with this stuff. So I'm really starting to believe, well, I know a little bit, but I'm really starting to believe a lot the so-called good guys are controlling the narrative, who puts out the narrative, who gets the traction on the narrative. I'm just going to call them out and be done with it. I believe Steve Bannon's part of that. I believe Steve Bannon knows a hell of a lot more than he's saying.
No question.
And he puts these things out strategically, the way he's told to do it. And, and I want to know if the people, you guys watching, are you done with it? Are you done with the good guys playing games? You know what I mean? Because what they're telling you is you can't handle it. You can't take the information. You can't assimilate it. You don't have what it takes to talk to somebody when they come to you and go, well, what's going on here? So they need it controlled. And I believe it's getting to a point where we, the people, need to step up in every avenue against the bad guys and speak up tough to the good guys and go, okay, we're done. You need to trust us more, because we, the people, will take this ball and we will win. Because ultimately, President Trump said it. I believe God has tasked it to us. This is we, the people's job, not just another set of controllers doing it for us.
So what you're really saying is we're a little bit ahead of where we should be.
Well, we know we are. I mean, I've gotten phone calls before from these so-called good guys telling me that I was literally 3 years ahead of the narrative on some stuff.
Wow.
Oh, put your video out 3 years from now, and I think you're going to get a lot of traction on it. Like, what the hell is that? But we're going to keep pushing forward. The good news, guys, is that a lot of times you're going to get stuff here a lot sooner than you get it someplace else, because we're really digging into it and trying to find you the truth. And you're also going to know that this narrative that you get here is not controlled. So it may not always be polished too, because Robert and I believe in authenticity over anything else. So it may not be polished and we may make some mistakes, but we can guarantee you is Robert and I are working very hard just to get you the truth. And we don't give a damn about any controllers. It's not important to us.
Right. And we don't have any sponsors to worry about. We don't have to, we don't have bosses over us or telling us what we can and cannot speak about. And if we did, I don't think either one of us would want to do the show.
Yep, exactly.
I saw you doing something a little while earlier, and I wanted to talk about it because I saw you grab this little bottle and you put it in your mouth and you did something. What did you do?
I'm gonna, again, fully transparent. Been working really hard, traveling a lot, and I've been exhausted lately. I don't know what it is. The last 2 nights, I thought I would sleep and didn't even sleep. And it's just so much on my mind. I've been writing scripts in my head, figuring out what our next move is, how we can help the people, all this stuff. And I didn't take my Neumi today. And I actually didn't take it yesterday either, which is not like me. So I'm feeling a little bit down, and I didn't do it. My goal was not to get attention for this. I wasn't trying to push the product on here. I just did it naturally. I'm like, hey, I'm going to feel a lot better if I do this, and I do, right? I got more energy. Became more lucid and not so scatterbrained. But NutraSwish is an amazing product.
Yep.
And it's glutathione with some other things, and it is literally the master antioxidant. And just cut to the chase, it gives you and your mitochondria and your immune system the right signals to go to work, and they figure everything else out for you. And it just does a phenomenal job. And yes, my hair has gotten really dark.
Wow.
Because guys, watch me from a year ago. It was all the color of right here.
Mm-hmm. I remember. Yep.
Very, very interesting. Very, very good stuff. And put your link up there, Robert.
They added turmeric to it too, and turmeric's really important because it's an anti-inflammatory. And you say, why do I have joint pain? Why did this? Well, a lot of that is inflammation. right? And if you add the turmeric in there, it is an anti-inflammatory. It does reduce the inflammation. So if you're doing, you're shopping till you drop, you're carrying the packages to the mall for your wife, and your muscles are hurting the next day, this is going to help you recover faster. And then we have the new version, the Neumi Herms for the ladies, to help with their hot flashes, and even if you're not menopausal yet, because we have a lot of young ladies who watch this show, this is a really good tool to help you through that time of the month. So, guys, go have a look. They have some great specials on right now for December. RenegadeMedia.tv/energy. RenegadeMedia.tv/energy is where you'll go and you'll find all the info there. This is a fun show. I like doing the Friday show. The Friday show is a little bit different. We cover some really cool stories. All right. Secret Service is on our mind today. I don't even know where to start with this one because it's so ludicrous. It's just like, what the heck? You remember this guy from the Dukes of Hazzard?
Oh, yeah, yes, I do.
Yeah, John Schneider from the Dukes of Hazzard, right?
Right.
He was the guy. So he puts out a tweet responding to President Biden's tweet. And let's see. This is Biden's tweet. Trump poses many threats to our country, the right to choose, civil rights, voting rights, and America's standing in the world. But the greatest threat he poses is to our democracy. If we lose that, we lose everything. That's Biden. So Schneider writes in return, Mr. President, I believe you are guilty of treason and should be publicly hung. Your son, too. Your response is? And now he's got the Secret Service looking into him. Do you see anything in there, Lewis, that sounds like a threat?
No, the fact that he said, I believe, right, already exonerates him, according to law. I believe that you are guilty of treason, right? And you should be hung is directly because if you're treasonous, you can be hung because of that. So
that's the punishment, yeah.
That's it. He can't. I mean, the problem is we don't have a honest judiciary. If we had an honest judiciary, that statement wouldn't be an issue whatsoever. So they may even try to do something with this. We'll see, but maybe to be an example of another win for us. But I don't disagree with them. But honestly, though, can we really hang a puppet pleading the fifth to have you ever raped somebody?
Yeah. How do you do that?
Yeah. No. Hell no. That's yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
This Epstein thing people thought was a big deal a couple years ago. I think it's going to be a big deal for real. You know what I mean? Plus the Hunter Biden laptop and plus some other things. I believe it's just going to be an avalanche. They're going to remember we talked about they're going to slow drip to a point, and then I believe they're just going to open it up, and it'll be. Well,
when the dam fails, it goes. It's just there's no stopping it. It's a force like the unbelievably powerful force. We're going there. I agree.
Yeah. Now, Epstein's sole purpose, you guys, was literally to get powerful people in compromised positions. That's all he was supposed to do. This is a Mossad operation through Les Wexner, Ghislaine Maxwell, which I believe was his handler actually, and his one goal was to get as many prominent people in compromised positions, therefore they could be controlled.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
It's not as sophisticated as people think it is. It doesn't matter that he's a pervert or not a pervert. I think his whole perverted and being with young girls and doing all the things was secondary to his true objective, because he's a piece of crap anyways, right? So he was already there. Oh, hey, I might as well interact with this stuff. Mm-hmm. But I believe his goal was compromising people of power. I believe that was his number one goal. And that's Mossad 101, which is, you think CIA is dirty. Oh, you should investigate Mossad. Holy crap.
Well, he needed the girls to have you couldn't compromise without having those little girls anyway. So, that's what he needed, both those pieces to work.
Yep, exactly.
They keep calling him a financier. I thought that was kind of interesting.
No, I was told he was a dumbass. So I don't know. You know what I mean? But I've read some reports that he was not as bright and sophisticated as people may think.
No, clearly. And he was a tool, and he was playing a role, and he was doing what he was told to do. And oh, he committed suicide. Oh, the cameras just so happened to fail right at that moment. They work all the other time, but those 12 minutes, they didn't work.
All of the cameras that he used seemed to work all the time, but the ones that used on him didn't work.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Okay. I don't actually have a PowerPoint for this, but we'll talk about this story. Trump insists that he knows nothing about Hitler and has not read Mein Kampf, as he doubles down on claims immigrants are poisoning the blood in our country, but says remarks aren't racist.
Mein Kampf.
Mein Kampf, is that what that is? Mein Kampf. He was asked about critics saying he used Hitlerian language in his repeated use of the poisoning language to describe migrants. The German dictator wrote about the poisoning of German blood by Jews in his 1925 manifesto that preceded the Holocaust. Trump has refused to back down, using the language at campaign rallies amid the fury. And his words, Trump's words, no, I never knew that Hitler said it, either, by the way, and I never read Mein Kampf. They said I read it. These people are disinformation, horrible people that we're dealing with. I never read it, Trump said. Okay. Poisoning the blood. The migrants are poisoning the blood of America. I get the idea what he's trying to put across.
Well, there's so much misinformation about Hitler and the Holocaust anyways. You don't really know what true statements can be even attributed to him anymore.
Correct.
You know. By the way, that's not an anti-Semitic statement. Everybody just don't freak out on me.
It's like, well, it's a history rewrite statement, right? So history gets rewritten. That's
all it is. Yeah. Is you have to question the narrative because there's so many false narratives in regard to all of that.
Right.
And I'm not a Holocaust denier, but I'm not all in either because I've seen a lot of actual proof that there's a lot of made up stories in regards to this. So again, we have to take a deep breath, not just because we're pressured in a certain direction. Don't go there. Investigate and figure out what is what. So who knows what was said and what wasn't said. And, there's a lot of similarities in discussions regardless. I'm sure I say things that may sound socialist sometimes. Go figure. Like I do hope that we have no wars, and I do hope one day that we can cross borders freely without being a draw on another country. I hope we can welcome anybody in, and vice versa. So does that make me socialist? People could probably say they can compare that statement to something a socialist said sometime.
Well, I use a lot of words that Hitler uses too. I use the word "the" a lot. I mean, come on, how far can we want to take this, right?
Right, it's it. They're gonna find something.
Well, yeah, and this is more of this kind of game that they're playing. I don't really care who said what, as long as does it have relevance in the context he's using it today? Yeah, it does. Okay, so somebody else said it too. How often does that happen? Do you think everything we're all saying is unique? We're repeating a lot of stuff we've heard in the past, whether or not we're cognizant of it. Doesn't matter. I repeat a lot of things Tony Robbins said. I spent a lot of time, in his audiences and being trained by him. So I repeat a lot of things the way he does. So what?
Right.
I'm not Tony. I'm never going to be Tony. You know what I mean? Supreme Court, and I'm looking at the clock here, trying to make sure that we don't run too far over. I know you've got other things on your plate today. Supreme Court rules against special counsel will not expedite Trump immunity clash. Supreme Court's new docket just dropped, notably without expediting the claim of presidential immunity in his 2020 election interference case, a critical question which will determine whether or not he can be put on trial for trying to overturn the results of the last presidential election.
Keep that up. Keep that picture up. Folks, this is why I tell you he's just an actor from Star Trek. Don't get triggered from anything he says. There will be a day coming as soon as he loses all these cases, he will come out publicly and say, "Beam me up, Scotty." You mark my word. That's what's going to happen with him.
It's coming. It's coming. All right. So the request is denied for an expedited trial, which now they're saying there won't be a trial before the 2024 election. Big win. Yeah, we're looking for the wins. I think this is a big win. What do you think?
Well, it's that golden boomerang effect. It's all falling apart on the deep state.
Yeah.
And this is why they need all these crazy narratives. And here's where you should be concerned. The fact it's all more ammo.
We have more ammo. We do have better aim. No question about that. All right. So next couple of days, next week, we will not be doing live shows. However, I hear there's some people that you're going to interview, and we're going to be sharing some of the interviews.
Guys, look at this. Look at what's going on next week for you. You know, because we love you, we didn't want to leave you hanging, right? So we're working overtime, and here's what we're going to bring you. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. No particular date, but all 4 of those days next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. One of those days you will see the lovely Mark Atwood.
Let's play the clip of Mark he was talking about there. He says, is President Trump still commander-in-chief?
Yep, CIC. Yep. So Mark doesn't pat himself on the back on some things. Many people don't know that he's worked very hard in Ireland and throughout Europe, helping people get on the right page. And he does a lot of the great things in the health, in the alternative health industry, and getting people to pay attention to their agenda over there that's similar to Remember Your Oath over here. So I'm going to ask Mark some very specific questions, and I believe he does phenomenal work, and he doesn't get any attention or any credit for it because he doesn't look for it. But I know based on conversations I have, people he's connected me to, I know he does great work. So that will be a great conversation. I'm looking forward to that. We'll make sure that you guys can watch it next week. That'll be phenomenal. And then one of the days I will have the lovely Kathy O'Brien. And I will have questions for Kathy O'Brien too that people may not be used to hearing her answer. And she's I consider her a good friend of my wife and I. She's just extraordinary person. Her and Laura Worley I really respect. They both been, and they fought through it, and they're helping people heal because of it. So Kathy is a phenomenal warrior. So I will be interviewing
Kathy O'Brien. Getting a lot of love for both Mark and Kathy in the chat room already.
Yeah, they're both amazing in this. In addition, I had a spirited conversation with Sheriff Mack a couple of days ago. I didn't know until right at the end that it was secretly being recorded. We're going to put it out, hesitated to put it out because my goal is never to disrespect somebody. And I believe I handled the conversation respectfully, but I was extraordinarily firm. And I know some very prominent people in this movement that really like Sheriff Mack and the CSPOA. I don't dislike them, but I believe that there's better work to be done than what's doing. So I was holding them accountable, as we the people should do. And then I found out it was being recorded. So we decided we are going to put that out. And it's hard. Some of it's hard to hear, so we'll subtitle it on the bottom. But that will also be out next week. So I think that will be a big deal also.
Cool.
And then
and number 4.
Yeah, and there may even be 5. But number 4 is I just pre-interviewed somebody who, and we're going to have an interview next week. And I asked her to send me some pictures, some files, some corroborating evidence, so that will be a huge reveal, and that will be up next week as well. All of this is for you guys. We would love just to take the week off, but we wanted to make sure that on your if you have some time off, this is some good time to just spend, and really wanted to put some great people in front of you. In addition, there's a conversation I know of, two friends of mine are having with somebody, and they're really going to be discussing what I call tinfoil hat subjects. And we may have that simulcasted over on our channel also, so it's more information and cool stuff for you. So guys, that's what we're working on. So next week should be a phenomenal week.
Should absolutely be, yeah.
In disclosures, and we really wanted to put together something special for you.
Alas. How are we doing on time? Did we get end in a time that allows you to do what you need to do?
You're amazing, Robert. It's perfect.
Okay. Well, we're a good team, Lewis. We are a very good team, and everyone says that about us. And you want to tell people about your husky before we go?
Sure. My husky. So my husky is interesting. I don't even know how old this husky is. Oh, watch how quick I'm gonna delete a troll real quick.
I see
Bob, you're gone. You're gone. I've been having fun because I've been beating the admins on this lately. While I'm doing this, I'm kind of challenging the admins, see if they can do it too quick. So that was fun. Yes, my beautiful husky. I don't even know. He's somewhere between 8 and 10 years old, I think. Anyways, just a beautiful, beautiful dog. When we first started giving him pet food from sbgpets.com, which is dramatically reduced, but even cooler, I didn't even know he had issues. I just thought he was just a very mellow dog. Well, he used to do, when he was younger, he used to run a lot. We'd open up the door and he'd take off. The bad news is he's doing that again. So that's the bad side effect to him eating right. But the good news is now, if I'm gone for a couple of days, which I often am, when I come home, he used to just lay down and look up and the other two dogs would greet me. Now he's not only coming to greet me, he's jumping up and down on his hind legs. So excited. So it's really fun to watch. So guys, we're we've been hundreds or more products that have been brought to our attention. We only choose a couple only because we know they're the best. So sbgpets.com, it supports us also. If you purchase, we do get a percentage of the sale from that.
Yep, and I can vouch for this as being some amazing products. I have a cat that is just come back to life and is kitten-like again. It's crazy at 13 years old. It's amazing. So good. I can't wait for the interviews next week. Lewis, it sounds like we're going to have a fun week. We are going to take a little pause on doing the news. Somebody asked me today how long it takes to put together the content for an hour-long show. Pretty much the entire day. And you might say, come on, really? Just go pick some stories. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. You think it works like that, but it doesn't. And we have both Eric and Denise in the backstage helping us. Lisa, who's recovering, she's gotten a little bit sick, but she's recovering well. She also helps with a lot of the graphics and stuff. So we're a small team, but there's just so much to do. And we're so appreciative of the people who volunteer to help us out to make this show happen. And, the feedback that we're getting and Lewis's experience in Arizona with people coming up to him and say, thank you so much. Your show's having an impact. We don't necessarily know. I'm sitting in this room here and I don't know. This is my room that I'm sitting in right here. So you're seeing, there I am there. So, we don't normally get to see the kind of the impact that we're having on the screen and how the people that it's reaching. But when we go out in public and people thank us for it, boy, I tell you, it touches our heart and it really makes all of this work worthwhile. Yep,
I agree 100%. And God bless you guys during the holidays. Whatever your belief system is, know God loves you. We love you. And we got this.
We got it. We got
the people step up and do what we have to do.
Yeah. Have a great Christmas, everyone. Lots of love to you, and we'll see you. We'll be poking in. Lewis and I will commit to, if there's anything big that explodes over the weekend, we'll come on and we'll do a live show if we need to. Right?
Yep. You got it, buddy.
All right. Thank you, Lewis. Love you.
Love you too.